Hi, so I came across this, which is clearly a broken hoover. Now actually, I've been looking for a broken hoover for a while, because obviously that is a cyclone filter, which is really cool. In here we've got a pump and we've got a whole little system here of tubes. What I'm thinking here is that this would be great on the gasifier unit if we swapped some bits around. I mean, if you remember, we had the first cyclone filter, which is a hot filter, then we had the sawdust filter, another hot filter, then we had cooling pipes, and then we had a pump that was a little aggressive. If we put this after the cooling pipes, that gas will be cold enough so that the plastic will be able to cope with it. I hope. So it looks like we've got a really interesting system here that we could just unbolt and use directly. So let's get this to pieces and have a look at some of those bits. Okay, so all I've really done is remove the extraneous bits, you know, the foot and the handle, and separate it out so that we can actually see the motor here. And here it is. So this is the motor and there's the impeller. Now with this kind of thing, with the vacuum cleaner, what they've done is they've created channels with a really nice beautiful seal. So these seal beautifully and they keep a nice airflow going on in here. Now luckily, most vacuum cleaners are this kind of motor, and this is called a universal motor. This motor will work off AC or DC, which is really super cool. So of course I've got a 12-volt battery, I've clipped a negative and positive lead to it, and I've clipped them to the right colour by snipping off the plug at the end of the cable. And I'm going to use the original switch, so let's turn that on. And there you go. There is the motor and impeller running on 12 volts DC from what should have been an AC vacuum cleaner. So the vacuum cleaner actually will pull in here, it is, I can feel it, and we can reseal it to have channels with only one inlet and one outlet. So we actually have a pump from a vacuum cleaner that was thrown away, probably quite a good air pump. Now the speed of this is going to be dependent on the voltage, and I'm putting 12 volts in. If it's not strong enough, I can double that up obviously by using another battery, and we can increase the voltage on that. But I think the thing to do on this really now is put it all back together. Okay, I think that's super cool actually. So I've got it running at the moment on the 12 volts, and this one actually is pulling the air in through here. So it pulls it in through the tube and then in through here, through the cyclone filter which we've got here, and that's where the force of the vacuum is at that point here. Now on this one it exhausts out here, which is a bit of a shame really for using it with a gasifier, but absolutely brilliant if you think about using it with other things. Let me turn it off. Because I do have a lot of shop equipment, like this thing here, this circular saw. Now it does have a collection bag, but what it does mostly is throw sawdust all over the place. So one thing that this is now destined for, as it's stripped down, is quite simply a dust collector for that. Now we do have quite other bits and pieces of equipment around that need dust collectors and actually don't have dust collectors. So if I just wire this back up at 240, stick it in the wall next to the saw, hang it on the wall, what I've got is a pretty awesome dust collector. So that's one use for it. Now I did find these actually in the bin, of course, so they're costing me nothing at all. So I've got a nice dust collector system there that I'm going to attach to that and use it for that. But I do want something for the gasifier, and I also found this one. It's amazing what you can find in the bin. So this one would be exactly the same. It's got a universal motor in there. But the advantage of the hoover is that there's a little back door here. It's got a sealed suction system is what it calls it. If I can get this off. There we go. And that's the exhaust section. So that exhaust section here, which comes out of that, is actually isolated from the motor. I don't know if you noticed on that motor that there's a rubber cup section around the impeller. Sometimes on the motors what they do is blow the air over the motor to help keep the motor cool, and sometimes they isolate them from the motor. This one's an isolated one with an exhaust system right here. So I can attach my gasifier exhaust to this plate, put it back in, it's all nicely sealed and isolated from the motor. So with the adaptation of this one, I can make a gasifier pump with nothing more than removing a few extraneous bits. I can make this a dust collector for some of my circular saws and various saws I've got lying around. So these wasted hoovers, these wasted vacuum cleaners, they have such a ton of uses actually. And the motor in there, like I say, is a universal motor, so it can be made to run from DC or AC, no problem at all. Anyway, I thought I would share that with you because I just came across those and have those uses for them. I hope the video was of interest, and thank you very much for watching. Right, so I was going to leave the video there actually, but it was so easy to do the next bit that I actually decided just to do it, and then when I found out it was so easy I thought I'd better do a quick bit on the video. So here's the actual vac in the corner, it's plugged in, works on the switch on the wall, and it fitted exactly into the original extraction point for this saw. So that was just, I mean, super easy. So if I turn it on, I mean, it still chucks bits out, but actually that's to do with the saw. Quite a lot of it goes into that vacuum extraction, and I can't tell you how tiresome it is to clean this saw up after using it. Anyway, super simple guys, it really is, so I thought I'd share it with you. Thanks again.